Welcome back to another episode of MotoGP Mac, and today we're going to talk about the updates that we can see from Honda, KTM and Ducati. Now, if we start off with Honda, the first thing that we're going to notice and look at is what I think is probably the most critical part of the update that Honda are working on. Yes, we've discussed earlier on the week the aerodynamics that they brought during the pre-shakedown test that they did, but the area where I want to focus on is more the engine and the engine mounting. So up first, I'm going to show you the bike that they finished the last race in, and here you can see, and where I want you to take note of is the position of the main engine bolt, how close to the edge of the frame and far forward in the edge of the frame it is, but also to the engine bolt that is directly above it. Now, if we move to the one that they used in the Valencia test with Mir, what you will see is that the main engine bolt is a couple of millimeters back towards the swing arm, but the bolt that was directly above it in the 2022 bike is a lot further back towards the swing arm. Now, as you remember, this wasn't the best option and Mark wasn't too happy with it. However, if you now look at where the main bolt is on the bike that Bradl tested, here you will see it's a more central position in the frame. So Honda's engine bolt has moved back what I would call to a halfway house of what they tried in the Valencia test and what they were running last year. Now, of course, we have a good look at the aerodynamics that they have and that they're running. So the Stegosaurus wings, the Aprilia-esque front wings, the downward chutes that has two openings into the downward chute. So again, I think Honda are actually mainly focused on the chassis. They are copying the aerodynamics, but again, when they moved the engine back for the Valencia test, they couldn't feel the front. Then they couldn't get the maximum out of the rear when it was too far forward. So this is a halfway house, and yes, it'd be interesting with Bradl testing it, but I can't wait to see Mir and Marquez and Rins push it to its limit and see where it goes. Now onto KTM. So here you will see Brad's bike from Valencia, and I could only see a couple of changes here on the bike that Danny was running in an aero section compared to the bike that Brad was running. So the first one I see is just up at the top, just where the Mobile One sticker is. That edge used to be jagged, it is now smooth. He is running the same type of front wing, it's still pronounced out the front. Maybe the wing has changed in its design slightly, it's very hard to tell. But two of the big visible signs for me is the very bottom of the belly pan. That now is protruding out very much more than what it was. It is definitely bigger. Just where the M and the O from Mobile One is, you can see that there is a line there, and it does look like it's creating a channel just before the rear wheel. Now I wonder, is that feeding the step to cool the tire? I'm not quite sure. Another area where they put a lot of time and resource into is the front mudguard, and here you can see it, that is really designed to aid flow into that area of the belly pan as well. So really interesting to see, and this is only the tip of the iceberg, remember, for KTM. Red Bull are really only getting started, let's just say, but it's interesting to see they're keeping the same context to their development. So what they learned in Valencia, they're carrying over here. So it's good to see that they're trying things on a positive track. So up next, we're going to talk about Ducati, and there's a couple of things that I noticed within their new aero for 2023 so far. Firstly, They have gone a version of the hammerhead, I'm going to call it, belly pan, and looking at the ground effects. They've seem to look like they're getting rid of the downward ducts that they were using in front, more so in line with this. Now, they've kept the kind of squished front wings compared to the previous year. Also, the thing I noticed is that the mid wing in the side pod has changed. The line of that has become much straighter on the outer edge, whereas before, I'm not sure if you can remember, but it used to kink in towards the middle. There was another thing that I did see as well, which was just above where the front mid-wing mounts. There is also a vent in there. No doubt, knowing GG, there is definitely something there. But I found it very intriguing that Ducati have decided to spend majority of their time working on this area and this area alone of the bike. So there is definitely something within the ground effect that has inspired GG to focus mostly on this. However, we do also need to keep in mind that with this shakedown test, the weather has been abysmal. They haven't got the running in that they've wanted to, so they're probably going through a limited program. Now, with this limited program also means that they're going to put anything that is a priority to test out and test it. And I think this is what we saw, especially on Tuesday during the dry sessions. They were trying to maximize the workload and test what they needed to test. For me, definitely KTM are being, how would I say, the most adventurous. Honda are trying to find a balance between keeping the grippy rear tire going and being able to feel the front. KTM are pushing the envelope with aerodynamics from Red Bull Racing. Interesting to see how they're trying to channel the air towards the rear tire. And Ducati, I'm sure GG has something up his sleeve. He looked very confident earlier on. But I would love to know your thoughts. What do you think is the most innovative idea so far you've seen from these three manufacturers? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video.